Saga Cigars, makers of the Saga Golden Age. The Golden Age is a cigar that takes you back to the classic days of cigar smoking. Through the 6 generations of experience by the Reyes family, the Saga Golden Age delivers a timeless blend that uses the nobility of the tobacco to bring you the perfect balance of power and flavor. It narrates better than words the history of a family's tradition in tobacco, delivering a cigar much like the ones they used to smoke in the times of Hemingway. Saga Golden Age is a full-bodied, full-flavored Dominican Puro. With tobaccos from one farm, the blend features a Corojo 2006 wrapper and filler from original Cuban seeds grown in the Dominican Republic. Available in 4 sizes at an affordable price, the Saga Golden Age is sure to please and take you back on a journey to yesteryear.
Brought to you by Rocky Patel Premium Cigars. The era of elegance continues as they celebrate 20 years of creating iconic cigars, delivering nothing short of magnificent. The Rocky Patel 20th Anniversary Cigar line follows the lineage of the Rocky Patel decade and 15th anniversary. 4 years in the making, it's a masterfully crafted cigar. The blend combines fillers from Esteli and Jalapa, Nicaragua, as well as Yamastran, Honduras. Encompassed in an elegant Honduran wrapper, this box-pressed beauty is soon to be legendary. The Rocky Patel 20th Anniversary, the era of elegance continues. For more information, visit them on the web at rockypatel.com and be sure to follow Rocky Patel Premium Cigars on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geeks show. I want to say, first of all, thanks to all of our live stream listeners. Thanks to everyone out there. My first cigar this week, Will, is one that I smoked on the show last week. This is the Sereno Royale Maduro in the 20th anniversary, and it's the Sublime, which is like a Robusto size, right?
It's a no, that's actually a Robusto. The Sublime is more of a Toro.
Okay. What did I smoke? I smoked the Robusto, I thought.
Yeah, you smoked the Robusto.
Box split for me.
Very good cigar.
Very complex, great flavor. I thought it was a great cigar. I was happy to find a brand that I hadn't tried before that really hit it for me, and that was it.
Yeah, they most of their cigars, and I've smoked the whole line, I would say is in that box split range. Is kind of where I put it. Their price, we had Carson on last week. You can hear more about it. Their prices are a little higher, and that's the one thing where. That's the one, I don't want to say negative, but it is a higher price cigar. You're getting into the $10 range. But it is a very good cigar.
Great cigar. Back to you, Will.
I went and, I know you guys have really liked this cigar. I smoked the Tarano Vault TM027. That's the purple band.
Mm-hmm. Love the purple.
I've been more on that green band one. That's been more me, but I hadn't really smoked a lot of the purple band. I went back and smoked a few of them this particular week. Great, it's a great cigar. It's got a San Andreas wrapper, but again, it's one of those cigars where it doesn't smother. It's not a pungent wrapper. Delivers a very, very I don't want to say smooth smoke, but it's not a rough smoke by any means. It's got a nice sweetness to it. It's classic Tarano, as I like to say. Their cigars are medium. They're in the medium range, is what most Taranos I've had are. And it's a cigar that's $5.50, a price point.
Yeah, it's a good price for that cigar.
Yeah, really well constructed cigar. I gave it a box split. Again, it's a good value cigar.
I agree.
Yeah.
This was one of the most uniquely named cigars that I've smoked in some time, Will. I put it right up there with like the pickle juice. And this was from Good Karma. And this is the Donkey Dropping.
There's a reason why I gave you that cigar, but
there was, and I tell you what, us here in the studio, we saw the cigar, we were laughing about it, and we're like, it's a perfecto too, which is kind of interesting. Yeah. It kind of goes along with my wife has this preconceived notion about what cigars look like, and so to call it the Donkey Dropping was kind of interesting. I thought it was a good cigar. It had a very Maduro feel to me, Will. I rated it a 5. I couldn't find a whole lot of information about Good Karma, though.
Okay. It's a shop exclusive for Good Karma Cigars in Amarillo, Texas. I happened to be given the cigar by the owner of the shop. He gave me a couple of them. It's a cigar, but the reason it wasn't like I was trying to throw you a cigar called the Donkey Droppings. It's a cigar made by a company that we like a lot of their cigars, which is Esteban Carreras.
Yeah.
Don't know a hell of a lot about the blend, other than it does have it's a Nicaraguan-based blend, is what I would say. And so I thought it was interesting enough, given we've been covering a lot of Esteban Carreras, and Todd Daly, who's the owner, was very kind enough he gave me a couple of those on the show floor. Like I said, interesting name, interesting packaging, but like I said, it's an Esteban Carreras cigar, and they're doing some good stuff.
Yeah, good cigar, definitely worthy of the 5 rating, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Back to you, Will.
So we were talking about sports. I smoked a cigar. It's a cigar that got a lot of publicity, but probably no one ever heard of the cigar. It's called the Yaxel Ortiz YO. The Yo, or the YO. And why this cigar got a lot of publicity is, when we were talking about sports, the night that the Cleveland Cavaliers won the NBA World Championship, there was a press conference, and LeBron James goes into the press conference, and he's got this cigar in his mouth. And I actually put a picture up on my social media. I did not know what this cigar was. I couldn't make it out, but I definitely was making out this YO, which I couldn't, Yo, which I couldn't figure out. It actually turned out, it came out pretty quickly. It was this cigar, which I still had not heard of. I then was actually contacted by the company, who they sent me. Actually, I was contacted by a retailer who carries the cigar in Cousins Cigars in Northeast Ohio. They do have the cigar, and it's got some limited distribution in the U.S. It's definitely a boutique cigar, and they sent me. I actually have an extra one. I'll send you too. It was an interesting cigar. I'll just say that. It wasn't a cigar that necessarily was an overly complex cigar. It didn't have I wouldn't say it had a lot of wow factor to it, but it was a good cigar. It was, it had a nice, I want to say it had a nice cedar note through it. It's a cigar that was definitely a medium cigar that I could see anyone smoking. I kind of was wondering why LeBron James was smoking this cigar. It was kind of the big question I had. It's not a very traditional cigar. It's made in Nicaragua. Yaxel Ortiz actually has a small factory down there. The cigar's got a very good price point too. The price point of this cigar is it's under $6, right? So it's not an expensive cigar.
Did they make it for LeBron, or is this just a
No, it was out
shop
before LeBron. It's not even a shop exclusive. It's a very limited distribution.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
So, like, some retailers have picked it up. Serious Cigars in Houston has it. Cousins Cigars in Northeast has it. I gave it a try one. I mean, it wasn't a wow cigar, but it wasn't a bad cigar.
If you want to smoke the same cigar that LeBron was smoking.
Yeah.
Which I do. I mean, I think that's interesting when I see people smoking cigars in mainstream media, right? Whether it's sports or whatever. Like, I want to smoke that cigar.
Yeah, so I'll send you one of these as well. Like I said, I wasn't totally wowed by it. It wasn't by any means something you would throw off the boat. It's better than an Angler too. It's like I said, it's one I would try. I don't know necessarily I'd go grab a box of these, or but I think for the sole reason is it's not a bad cigar. It's a try one. I'd say maybe try one or two, but yeah.
I wanted to update my rating on the Charter Oak from our friend Nick Melillo, right? This is his Connecticut Shade in the Toro size, which I didn't rate very high. This is upgraded to a 5. It's gotten better. The reason why I wanted to mention it tonight, Will, is because it got better with age, in my opinion.
Did you have it as a try one beforehand?
I don't think I rated it before. I think I rated the Robusto and the Toro, and I said I didn't really care for the Toro just yet, but I liked the Corona in this blend, the small size. But I went back and I smoked another Toro, and I was like, wow, this is way better than the one I smoked originally. And there's only like maybe 3 weeks in between the time that I smoked them. And I was like, this cigar's already getting better. So if you haven't tried the Charter Oak, or if you tried it when it first came out, go back and try it now. I just think these IBCPR releases need a little time to age. This one definitely falls in that category.
Which Charter Oak is this? The Connecticut or the Broadleaf?
This is the Connecticut Shade. Okay. Yeah, I bought a couple of the Connecticut Shade in the Corona and the Toro size.
Okay, I mean, I've heard a lot of mixed. I've heard some people
Yes.
love this cigar, and I've heard some people really hate this cigar.
I think it's an interesting Connecticut shade offering. I think it's one that is a rare breed in that it just needs a little time to rest.
Yeah, and that sometimes happens. Like you said, these IPCPR cigars do take, and they're
I will
samples.
say it's progressing faster than the Padron Damasos. So definitely go back and try the Charter Oak because for the price point, I think it's a solid Connecticut.
Yeah, I would agree. In terms of going back and trying that, but I would say I agree also on the Damaso. I'm finally seeing that come around.
Right, and that was harder because it's a very high price point. This one is a much lower price point than the Damaso, and you're going to get a great smoking experience. I think even more so after you let it age.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
Back to
with
you,
that. I went back and I'm still going through these skinny monsters, and this week I've hit the Tatuaje Skinny Jason, which is the Petite Lancero version of the JV13. Here's what was interesting about that. I did not care for the original JV13 monster.
That was a broadleaf release, right?
That was a broadleaf.
Connecticut broadleaf release, yeah.
I remember Mark Jr. liked that cigar a lot, and I didn't like it.
I thought it was just okay.
I thought it. I thought it was. If I had to look at the two monsters that have been misses for me, it's probably the Hyde and the JV13.
Yeah.
Now they came out with a pudgy version. With the pudgy monsters, they came out with a pudgy Jason, and I really liked that cigar. So I was kind of I didn't know which cigar would show up with the skinny.
Right.
Well, it was this one was a miss.
Oh, interesting.
This one, I mean, I've gone through. So far, I've been overall disappointed with the skinny monsters. I've smoked half of them. I'm going in reverse order. I've liked the Jekyll and the Chuck, but the Tiff, the Hyde, and now this one have really just all been misses. This one, it's a very gritty, rough cigar. You're going to get that gritty Connecticut broadleaf flavor on it. So I don't mind that, but there just wasn't much else going on with that particular cigar.
What was the all broadleaf cigar that Pete came out with, Will?
La Casita Criolla, which I liked. I liked that cigar.
I thought it was okay, but I think that Jason kind of falls in that same category for me. And I thought the La Casita Criolla? Yeah. I thought it kind of falls in a similar category to the Jason for me.
But that again, Casita Criollo was very much a polarizing cigar from what I remember too. A lot of people, I did like it. It was and actually La Dueña is a variation of that. Where
I can see that definitely.
They put Nicaraguan tobacco in the
right.
La Dueña. Yeah, but this one basically I can't go higher than a try one on this one. It was
interesting.
Yeah, I mean. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I still got 5 more skinny monsters to go, but I really, the best one so far of the lot has been the Jekyll.
I smoked some more Leaf by Oscar. This one was in the Sumatra, in the Robusto format, not a Lancero format.
Okay.
I like this cigar, Will.
I like this cigar a lot.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I thought it had some nice, what I remember of this cigar, very, very crisp flavors from it. Like doesn't pull any punches with you. Like you're gonna get like the flavors it was meant to represent in the Sumatra blend, which I really liked. I still rated it a 5. It probably has potential with aging to go much higher than that, in my opinion. But I thought it was a very solid offering in this Leaf by Oscar line, and it's a very solid 5 for me.
Yeah, the Sumatra is actually my favorite.
Is this a Nicaraguan blend?
No, it's Honduran.
Interesting.
But
I don't get a lot of that earthiness. I get very crisp, almost Nicaraguan flavors, but from that Honduran tobacco, it's very weird.
That's exactly what I got from that. Where I just felt that whatever you don't see a lot of Sumatra blends over Honduran tobacco. It's kind of you see a lot of Sumatra over Nicaraguan. You see it a lot over Dominican. You don't see it a lot over a Honduran Puro, not Honduran Puro, but Honduran binder and filler.
I agree.
I thought it was I thought it smoked better in the Robusto than the Lancero.
I haven't smoked the Sumatra Lancero yet.
Yeah, but I think the Robusto smoked better, but I think some of the other sizes smoke better in the Lancero.
And I tell you what, and I've said this before about the Leaf by Oscar. I think that the packaging is awesome. And especially for the Stogie Geeks of the world, you take off the tobacco leaf from the outside of it, and like you do probably two things, maybe both. Like I really smell the wrapper, not the wrapper on the cigar, but the tobacco leaf. Yeah, tobacco leaf that covers it. Like I really I put that like right up my nose, and I'm like, and you get an aroma from that, and it's different for each one. And I'm not saying that makes the cigar any better or any worse, right? But it adds to the smoking experience. Like there's an aroma from that outer leaf that covers the cigar that I just think adds to the experience of it all for me.
Yeah, and the other thing is I find when you remove that outer leaf, there is some oils that are kind of present on the wrapper, which I like.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
That Connecticut, that Sumatra, all those wrappers in the Maduro, they're all nice and oily, which I kind of like with that.
No, that's really good. And this cigar is great. I like the Sumatra a lot.
Yeah, I that's my favorite of the four, is the Sumatra.
I mean, these are cigars that I would smoke on a regular basis and not really... not bad enough. I think they're doing a really great job with this Leaf by Oscar project.
Kind of just with the show. I remember when we first started doing the show. I remember Stogie Santa brought some of these, and we started smoking them. No one had really heard of these. These were very novelty type cigars. I look at where these come out 2-3 years later. These are really, these are just everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a boutique line this is not just a niche line anymore. They've got incredible distribution.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I still want to save all of my outer leaves and kind of roll those into a cigar and see how it smokes.
I thought of doing a shorts with that.
Yeah, just for the novelty of it all, I like to save them because I think it's really cool.
Now I tend to burn them,
and sometimes I do burn them. That's what I was going to say. Sometimes I do burn them to get the aroma.
Yeah, it's not to like pyro them, which I am a little bit of a pyro.
No, I get you there.
Yeah.
Back to you, Will.
So I've been really high on Crux cigars. I've just been incredibly impressed with them. I smoked a line that's been out for about 1.5 years or so. It's called the Classic. And I had not smoked the Classic. I shouldn't say I had smoked the Classic once before, but I hadn't really reviewed them. This is a Nicaraguan Puro featuring a Jalapa wrapper. I smoked this cigar in a Robusto size. And again, I love these cigars. I love what they're doing. What was unique about this cigar, and it's going to smoke a lot like a Nicaraguan Puro, where it's going to give you some of that sweetness. It's going to give you the spice. It's kind of the best of Nicaragua. But it had this, and we've talked about this, you get sometimes that little bit of a saltiness in the sweetness, which I like. And it's not overpowering, and it's going to be in the early first third of that. And it just kind of I found it a good way to kind of get into the cigar.
So you said you get a saltiness from the sweetness.
A saltiness on top of the sweetness, let me say. Yeah, I'm sorry. I did say on top, but I meant on top.
It's funny you say that, Will. I'm a lover of coffee, right?
Yeah.
And say what you will about Starbucks coffee, right? I think again, it's the people put things in different buckets, right? But I get like some of the medium roasts from Starbucks when I need to get coffee in a pinch. I'll go to Starbucks and get some of their whole bean coffee. I very much get a saltiness component from them that not so much sweetness. It's definitely very much a coffee kind of bitterness, but there's a little bit of that saltiness component that just makes it very enjoyable for me. And I think cigars fall in that same category where there's a little bit of saltiness component that helps balance off either a sweetness or some other bitter kind of component to it. And I think we talk about Jose Blanco and his blending seminars, right? He talks about all the different taste that you get, and salty is one of them, and sweetness is one of them, and bitterness is one of them, and I think saltiness helps balance that out. And
Absolutely.
my wife likes to put sugar in milk and cream in her coffee, which is fine, whatever. I drink my coffee black, and when it has that saltiness component, it balances off whether it's sweet or whether it's bitter. It helps balance that out. So I like how you describe this cigar as having some of those similar characteristics.
Yeah. Now I haven't gone to Starbucks in a while because they stopped me from smoking outside.
Yeah,
which
that's
I used to
just
do for
wrong.
years.
No, that's wrong. Yeah.
But the thing is, you're 100% right with that Starbucks coffee. When you drink it black, if you're going to put cream, you're not going to get that salty. You're 100% right
Yes.
with that.
Now, what's interesting, we talk about Starbucks coffee. Their Americano, which is essentially espresso with water,
Right?
whether it's iced or whether it's hot, they've got some magical combination. Will, I think hot or iced, like it goes so well with a cigar. It really does. And I'm a coffee snob, and I try and replicate that, and sometimes I get it right and sometimes I don't. But espresso, like if you're making hot espresso and you put some hot water in it, like finding that right balance, like they've got it really perfected. Every time I've gone there and I get an Americano, I'm like, whether I'm having a cigar, like if I'm not having a cigar, I'm like, I really need a cigar with this. And I'm having a cigar with an Americano from Starbucks, to talk about a big name brand, I'm like, these two things just go hand in hand. I'm like, this is great. And say what you will about Starbucks, whether politically or whether you don't like their coffee or whatever, I like their Americano with a cigar.
Like I said, like I said, if I can't smoke, it's nothing. You can't. The product is the product.
Right.
Because you said that's a personal. One thing we have to do is we always have to make a personal choice.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, now that you're saying that too, I could think I drink from a coffee shop that uses Illy Italian coffee, and I can get that as well.
Yeah. In wherever you get it from, right? Like obviously, you start putting whipped cream and sugar and all that other stuff in there, and that's a totally different thing. But just a coffee, like balanced with a little bit of hot water if you're drinking it hot, or cold water if you're drinking it iced, that's a great experience to me. And one which that I've had mixed success, like mixing up. I have a very high-end coffee machine at home. I have like the Krups thing that they have in a lot of cigar lounges as well. And like finding that right balance between the amount of coffee and how you brew it with whatever amount of hot water or cold water, making it hot or iced, is a difficult balance to achieve. And like every time, especially like a hot Americano that I get from Starbucks, is very well balanced and goes well with a cigar. Now, a latte, once you introduce milk into that, I find is a different drink and does not pair well with a cigar.
No,
at all.
No, it will. Yeah, you don't want to have
good on its own, but not. But now, if you make them at home, I think you can kind of play with the mixture where it does go well with a cigar.
Yeah.
To be like that's like me saying I'm the hugest like coffee and cigar snob on the face of the planet. Really, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. We are working on getting Jay the Coffee Guy back on the show. I've been in conversations with him.
And Jay the Coffee Guy, I mean, he's got it right. Like he makes awesome coffee, and he makes it in the French press, and just drinking it black, it is the perfect balance. It goes well with every cigar I've ever smoked my entire life. Like it goes really well. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember the show number where we had him on, and I should, but so and actually the good news is I think we may get him in the studio on a shorts. We may have him for shorts or something.
No, that's good. Yeah.
But so stay tuned on that. I have been in conversations with him over the last week on this.
And again, I'm just talking to him, and not to do product placement, right? But blackdogcoffee.net, I'm telling you, is where I order most of my coffee from here in the studio. Small batch roasted coffee. It's absolutely fantastic. The other one is, I forget what they call their website online, but it's actually a local place here in Rhode Island, Will, and it's called the Coffee Exchange. And they're in a very iconic place in Providence, Rhode Island, on Wickenden Street, and it's called the Coffee Exchange. And, I mean, you can go in there, Will, and you're going to laugh at me like there's all kinds of, like, millennials, hippies that attend like Brown and RISD, right? They're sitting there. But I tell you what, they know coffee very well. And any coffee that I bought from them, really regardless of how you prepare it, it just comes out awesome. Like the quality of the coffee is so high that whether you make, it doesn't matter what you make it in, like it just pairs so well with cigars. And that's my two staples of getting coffee.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten into Cuban coffee either. That's a whole other discussion. But even with the sweetness of Cuban coffee, it pairs with a cigar.
Mm-hmm.
They just found a way to get it right.
So, Will, where are we on you or me?
Yeah, I'll wrap this up. Box worthy on that Crux Classic. Yep. Robusto. Yep. So
I did smoke a Protocol Lancero.
We have them coming on the show. I think they're gonna be in studio in a couple weeks.
Is this from La Zona?
Made by La Zona, but made by two policemen in New York. A lot of folks know Juan Cancel and Bill Ives.
And this is Cubaraqueño. Cubaraqueño, thank you.
Yeah. By the way, and I can't pronounce it either. I finally got it right.
Cubaraqueño Cigar Company. This was you sent me this, Will. This was a Lancero.
Yeah.
Fantastic, by the way. Out of this world, I call it a box split. This was out of this world Lancero. Like the flavors, it was all about flavor. Medium bodied, it was awesome. Box split, in my opinion.
Last year they came out with the Protocol, and I liked it in the Corona Gorda. So when I was down at Eric Espinosa's La Zona Palooza, I saw Juan and Bill, and they said, "Hey, we're coming out with a Lancero," and I just want to hit my head. I'm like, "Guys, why are you coming out with a Lancero? It's they don't sell, right? You guys are a small company." But they gave me the Lancero. They said, "Hey, try it, right?" And I'll tell you what, that blend.
Oh, awesome.
And Stogie Santa has been high on this too. So I agree. I actually moved it to a box worthy when I smoked it, but I probably was at box split when I first had it, but over time it went to a box worthy. And I've seen a couple people toying with that as their number one cigar. I think Surgeon is like, John Reiner is, right now, that may be his number one cigar of the year. He's been in love with that cigar.
This cigar is awesome. A note to our listeners, sustainablecoffee.com. If you search for Coffee Exchange Providence online, their website is sustainablecoffee.com. That is one of the other websites that I order coffee from. It's funny, like I live here in Rhode Island. I'll actually go online and order from their website because their coffee shop is so busy in Providence, Rhode Island. It's actually really hard. Like you go there, you wait in line for a really long time to get their coffee. Sustainablecoffee.com is where I get it from. But this cigar that we're talking about from, what is it? Cubaraqueño in the Lancero format is the one you sent me, Will. Box split.
Yep.
Great cigar.
Yeah, they're cool guys too. I think they're very interesting guys. They have a good sense of humor, those two guys as well. So I think I'm looking forward to having them on the show.
Awesome. Back to you, Will.
Yep. Last cigar I have is, and this is one of these tongue-twisting cigars, the Casada Reserva Privada Oscuro Toro. Try saying that fast. So interesting story with this, and I'm gonna say I had nothing to do with this blend. Okay, but I did have an interesting story. So Manuel Casada basically came out last year with the Casada Reserva Privada, which was a Connecticut shade cigar, and they basically incorporated some 18-year-old tobacco in that blend. I loved it. Manuel Casada was in Charlotte, and I just said to him one day, "Hey," and this was probably around December. So I said, "Hey, have you ever thought about putting this in a Maduro?" And he kind of just winked at me, right? So they were already planning it, obviously. So they did. They came out with a broadleaf version of this Oscuro. I got some of these when they first came out. I couldn't keep them lit. I could not keep the thing lit. There was some harshness. I'm like, oh boy, right? So loved the cigar. I said, punt. Just put these things in the humidor for a bit. Revisited the cigar over the last couple of weeks, and it is smoking. No more burn problems. It needed. I mean, it was a broadleaf cigar that was released like in May or June when it's starting to get humid down here.
Yeah.
No more burn problems. Fantastic cigar. It had this cocoa powdery taste almost like that. Not an overly sweet, but kind of that little bitter cocoa powder taste over the tobacco. It actually I actually thought this cigar was milder than the Connecticut Shade. Believe it or not, in terms of strength and body. So it wasn't a very, it's more of a mild to medium in terms of strength and body, but it worked beautiful with this blend. Box worthy. Like I said, really, like I said, this is sometimes when you get that's why I hate reviewing cigars that come in off the shelf.
Yeah.
I have problems, but this was a case where you just had to give it a little time.
In my next two, I kind of reviewed coming off the shelf, Will, to be honest with you.
But there's nothing wrong with that, too.
No.
Certainly should do that.
In the favorable reviews, the Hoyo La Amistad.
That's the AJ Fernandez blend for General.
And I tell you what, one of my good friends from the podcasting world, Victor, recommended this cigar. Now he does, well, he did, I don't know if he still does, but he did a very popular Apple podcast about like all Apple technology. Victor Cartier. And it turns out he was a cigar smoker. He's like, Paul, you got to try this cigar. And I'm like,
the new cigar?
The new cigar, the Hoyo. And I'm like, it so happens that I have some samples of this cigar, and I finally got around to smoking it, and I think I made the mistake of smoking the cigar first thing in the morning, because I'm like, I really wanted to try it, because General had sent it to us, Will.
Pre-August
7th or 8th, right? And Victor had recommended that I smoke it, and I smoked it, and I was like, wow. Like, this is not a morning cigar. Like, it was totally overwhelming my senses, but...
Oh, yeah. It's
a strong cigar. Very, very good, though. I rated it a 5-er. Probably higher if I had smoked it at a more appropriate time, to be honest with you.
I would agree. I think it's like a box split right now, but
I agree with that, because it was a good. There was tons of body, tons of flavor in this cigar, but it's a very like in your face cigar, which I wasn't expecting from Hoyo or General, right? Great cigar. I smoked it in a Robusto format. I rated it a 5-er. However, I'm telling you, you got to try this cigar.
Right.
To have the collaboration between AJ Fernandez and the folks at General, I thought they did a fantastic job with this cigar, Will.
Yeah, I agree. And I think General had a very, very good year of releases this year. And not because they're a sponsor. I think they really did some good cigars this year. Absolutely.
I can't wait to smoke more of this little Robusto, because it packs so much punch in this little cigar. The morning, I remember when I first lit it up, actually one of our production engineers, Tyler, came in, and he's like, wow, that cigar smells really good. He's like, that's really like strong. I'm like, try smoking it, dude. I'm like, it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, wow, this cigar is good, but it's like, it's overwhelming my senses in the morning, which is, I think, a good thing, Will. And I think my rating probably would have been higher if I had smoked it at a more appropriate time during the day or night, in my opinion.
Yep. No, I would say definitely smoke it at another time of the day. I would not smoke that in the morning.
No.
I have reviewed cigars like that in the morning, and sometimes I have to go back and smoke them midday.
You got to smoke them again. Yeah. That was my issue. I did also smoke a Guayacán Rojas Reserve Gordo.
Yeah.
And you did a full review of the cigar, Will.
I like this cigar. It was a good big ring gauge cigar.
I tell you, it's a 58?
I think it's a 58.
When I first lit this up, I was like, I don't know about this cigar. To be honest with you. I was like, And then I stuck with it, and as I smoked it, I'm like, this cigar's pretty good. And then I smoked it some more, and I'm like, this cigar's really good. And I'll be honest, I lit this up right before I did an interview on my security podcast.
Okay.
And I was trying to pay attention to it, and in the beginning, I was kind of like, eh. And then as it progressed, Will, this cigar was awesome. It just kept presenting this sweetness flavor to me, and I was like, wow. I'm like, this cigar is really good. It ended up earning a box split, which is
That's where I put
a very high a very high rating in my opinion. Yeah. I love this cigar. For a large ring gauge cigar, this would, to me, like swing people over to larger ring gauge cigars, in my opinion, because there's so much flavor, in my opinion, that you get from the wrapper on this cigar, Will. In the first like half an inch, give it a chance. It'll continue to produce the sweetness, and you get to the final third, and you're like, wow, I really enjoyed this cigar. And that was the experience I had with it. It is hands down box split, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. It actually is a 6x60.
Is it a 60 ring gauge, really?
It's a 60.
That's amazing.
Now, they introduced this line as 60 and a 70. It was meant to be Guayacan's bigger ring gauge cigars. It's a $6.25 cigar, by the way. It's a great price.
Wow, that's a great price. Oh, that's an awesome price point for this cigar. Yeah.
Yeah, now they did come out with 2 traditional sizes at the show, a Toro and a Robusto, which I'm kind of curious about. But I kind of felt, again, this is kind of going back like with the Inch cigar that was blended to be a big ring gauge cigar.
It works in this big ring gauge.
It does, yeah. It totally does.
The sweetness that I got from a larger ring gauge cigar was just like off the charts.
Yeah.
But again, have some patience with it, because it kind of like, in like a musical sense, it kind of builds, right? Like it starts off kind of okay, and then it just like builds in this crescendo. I don't want to say it tapers off, because I enjoyed the final third too. Like it just keeps like building in this cigar for me, which is why it earned such a high rating, in my opinion. I love this cigar, Will. I'm really glad you sent this to me, because, like, in a retailer, if I had looked at this larger ring gauge cigar, I might not have grabbed it, but so glad that I smoked it.
No, I was impressed with. It's one of the better Guayacans I've had.
Very good. I agree.
Yep.
I agree. We reviewed Guayacan on the show before.
I've had mixed stuff with Guayacan.
This one's really good. What is the wrapper on this, Will?
It's a Nicaraguan Puro, and it's actually a Nicaraguan-grown broadleaf.
It's awesome.
You don't hear a lot. Yeah, you don't hear a lot about.
You could tell so much of the flavor is coming from the wrapper, even in a larger ring gauge. Very, very good.
Yeah.
It's interesting how doing this show, Will, like, my preconceived notions just get thrown out the window with a cigar like this.
You have to, we talked about it with Eddie. You have to take preconceived notions out. Really do. You're doing a disservice to yourself if you don't. I see reviewers sometimes saying, "I'm never reviewing this brand again." You're doing a disservice to yourself. You're not hurting anyone else but yourself. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, that's what I had this week, Will. Look forward to next week. I tell you what, we've got some awesome cigars to review.
We really do. In fact, I've hit some other ones which I haven't really put into the review queue yet, but there's some very interesting ones that I've hit over the last couple of weeks right now.
We got some great cigars from General.
Yeah.
They sent us. You sent me some like awesome like mixed bag of stuff to review.
Yeah. What did I send?
Small and big, like the small manufacturers to big manufacturers.
Yeah.
I'm just really excited about the cigars we're reviewing on the show.
Yeah. In fact, in my store today, my retail store I go to, they got the Avo Volume 4s in, Classics Volume 4. So I'm like, oh, geez, now I got to smoke that.
Big Pete is telling me that Friday is another tent sale from Mr. Jason on a Smoke Shop.
There goes the Stogie Geeks budget.
So for those listeners that don't know, like on my way to work, I have a 10-minute with no traffic, 10-minute commute from my house to the studio. It's 10 minutes by car. It's about 30 minutes by bike. Like I drive right past the store, and when they have their tent sale, like this Friday, I'm totally going to stop there on my way and just pick up whatever they have on sale. And from what Big Pete is telling me, Will, this is going to be a very, very telling tent. You know, from Stogie Geeks history, this tent sale is epic. Mr. Stogie Santa himself works for Mr. J. Savannah Smoke Shop. So you know this is going to be very telling.
He called me mid-show, by the way. I meant to tell you that when the screen was freezing. I guarantee that was he forgets the show's Monday nights. By the way, he will be on the 17th show. It looks like. But yeah,
Awesome.
I wonder if that's why he was calling me to tell me.
I'll be there.
Yeah, I'm sure that, like I said, they, again, it is. We've gotten some. I remember last year. That's when you got some of those vintage things.
Like,
you pulled out of there.
like you never know what you're going to get. Like,
yeah.
They could be trying to get rid of some old vintage stuff, or they could be just pushing whatever they're not selling. Like, whatever it is, it's of interest to Stogie Geeks listeners, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens this Friday. For me, I get to work, like air quotes, work from the store in the morning, and like whatever happens, right? Like, it's just a great social experience. So maybe I should Facebook Live some of that. Will.
Yeah, actually, I have to take Friday off. So yeah, I'd be curious to see some of that.
Maybe we'll Facebook Live some of it. Facebook Live some of that stuff because it's truly epic. Well, awesome.
Yeah.
I want to thank everyone for listening and watching to the Stogie Geeks show. Thanks, everyone. We're going to see you next week on the Stogie Geeks show. Thanks, everyone, for watching.